The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on Tom's Radio Toronto are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of Tom's Radio Toronto or its staff. These broadcasts are presented and made public as entertainment and general information only, in the hope that they will be entertaining and informative to listeners. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or mitigate in any way any disease or condition, or to promote any specific lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice, nor is the information presented necessarily accurate or verifiable.
Afternoon, Wisdom fans. Welcome to the Wisdom Show. I'm Bruce Gilboard. This is my dear friend David Altman, and we are going to learn the biblical book of Proverbs together. But first, I must say a couple things. Thank you for surviving that wonderful, elegant, poetic disclaimer. It's changed my life. We are broadcasting from our secret subterranean wisdom cave here at, I'll tell you the secret, it's at 3768 Bathurst Street, room 308, North York, Toronto, Ontario. You can please hit subscribe and share. We're all about sharing is caring and sharing wisdom to the masses. You can find us at worldwideweb.tomsradio2mzradio.com. And if you want to participate in our discussion, which I am on my knees begging, call 416-900-5864. Now, I just want to give a little update because the text of the book of Proverbs has changed. The style has changed. It's about 31. Well, I should proceed with my usual acknowledgement. It alleges to be the wisest book in the world in any language written by the wisest man, King Solomon. So let's see if that's correct. Let's read the thing. Let's look for that wisdom. And wisdom, by the way, as a definition, is the muscle we build in character and thought and spirituality to make better choices and to help ourselves succeed and our friends succeed and all those around us in the world, etc. So what's happening with the book of Proverbs? The first third of it, more or less, is pretty allegory and riddles on and descriptions of situations where the author brings you along from definitions to what to do in rough situations, and then there's double or sometimes triple meanings to each word, each sentence, each paragraph. He seduces you along almost like you're in a headlock, and he brings you along to become more wise. The way I would characterize, or the way I was taught, is the first third, the summary is, you're a jerk and you're not listening. The second third of the book, however, we're about to start on, is much more, in my opinion, difficult, and Dave, my friend, will challenge me, will pick me up off the floor and show me that I'm wrong, and I'm looking forward to be proven wrong. The second third is a lot more spray and pray. That is, you throw a point up against you throw a half a dozen things against the wall and see what will stick, or you spray and pray that one of them will work. So it's a lot of bullet points of wisdom, and it's a matter of understanding. They're not necessarily connected. That's the challenge. So I would say the second third is, okay, you're listening now, but you're still a jerk. Learn something here. The last third is, I've got you listening, you're no longer a jerk, but now let's tell you what life's about. So we're going in order, we're listening, we're still jerks, myself included. And ladies and gentlemen, we are about to start chapter 10, the book of Proverbs. First, a brief interview. Who's Dave Altman? Dave, introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
I am a friend of Bruce. And it's absolutely amazing that I have not even a book of Proverbs, other than in a book of all the Torah of all the biblical books. I don't have anything specific on Proverbs, and it's wonder if it's like as you claim, it's the smartest book in the world. it's the wisest book in the world, you would think that that would be on my number one on my shelf. But perhaps this section, for instance, Bruce has found a great deal of difficulty with for some reason. It's different than what he's used to. Why is it difficult for you, this?
Number one, I'm a whiner.
Oh, is that why?
Number two, I think it doesn't have the coherence of a story or each paragraph grouping a thought. It's bullet points.
It's bullet point about moral discipline, right?
Yeah.
Moral discipline. And in this particular, in section 10, what they do is they compare two things, what the greatest and the worst. So the tzaddik and the rasha.
What's a tzaddik and what's a rasha?
Well, that's very interesting because as much as Proverbs is a part of Christian everyday learning, it's about the tzaddik and the rasha. So in Christianity, they don't seem to have the holy man. Like they do in the past. They have John the Baptist, people like that, holy men who lived in caves, holy men that you would go visit, and just their presence and their blessing would enrich you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have that concept, but I guess we do. I guess we do. Anyways, these are the allegories of Solomon. And what he does is he takes two things and he compares them, right? So let's start with the first thing, right? Proverbs 10:1. It's about joy and sorrow, right? So the allegories of Shalom. A wise son will make his father happy, but a foolish son is his mother's sorrow. Now, it looks very simple. A wise son will make his father happy, of course, right? But a foolish son is his mother's sorrow. Why is it not his father's sorrow?
It's comparing A and B to 1 and 2. And you'd think A and B are equal and 1 and 2 are equal, but they're not. He's shifting sides. That's what makes it a little bit challenging.
Well, he teaches you stuff like, why is a foolish son his mother's sorrow?
Okay,
Well,
tell us.
I simply, I asked, Nicole is a close friend of mine.
Yeah.
Girlfriend, whatever. But Nicole, I told her right away, I went to her and she said, it's because the husband will scream at the wife.
This is said. It's said in one of the commentaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So a wise son makes his father happy, but if he's not happy, he'll blame his wife, and that's part of the reason why it's the mother's sorrow. But there's more reasons. For instance, mothers are ones that they're intricately involved in their child's life from the beginning, right? They see it. If the child's screwing it up, they might try to hide it from the father, right? But they know it's there. They know it's there. It says the mother naturally tries to spare her husband's feeling and does not report every failing that she witnesses. But the boy's her sorrow, since her motherly pity and concern may have contributed to his lack of discipline.
Right.
Because she loves him so much, you can weaken a child. And I think that's what they're talking about, right? So in other words, the wise son, of course, he makes his father happy, and of course that when he's foolish, of course it's his detriment. But I think it'll fall on the mother, and that's what Solomon's trying to teach us.
I had trouble with this, and I read the same commentaries written in a couple of different ways. My problem was Bruce, who sees himself as perfect, says, my wife and I raised our children equally, so there wouldn't be any falling on the wife, falling on the father. My parents, however, were more of a traditional family. Wait till your father gets home and more. Now, I don't know if it's that, because it's coming from me, and I'm reviewing my life and my parents' life. I don't know if it's accurate. I just don't know.
You know what? Solomon was writing from a time where it was farm communities, right?
Yeah.
So everybody really had the same. Everybody really had the same thing. Like today, it's so spread out. Men and women's jobs are basically the same today, unisex, right?
Right.
Then you had a job to do. You worked on the farm. If you were a lazy kid, if you were unskilled, it pretty well came out.
Also the phrase hunters and gatherers. The men went out and gathered. Oh, I guess the phrase refers to men went out and hunted, women gathered the berries and stuff.
Anyways,
more of a domestic thing.
There's 30 of these, so we got to get.
Yeah,
going.
yeah, okay. We're watching the clock. Sorry. Yeah, let's go on.
Now here's a very interesting one. The second proverb,
Yeah.
and is treasures of wickedness avail nothing, but charity will save from death. In other words, if I have a pile of riches that I got illegally through through horrible methods, I got this pile of treasure. It will do nothing to save me, according to King Solomon, according to Solomon. But when I give charity, when I give regular charity, it can actually save me from death.
This is a fundamentally religious thing with judgment and repentance and so on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not only
I tend to in my research and preparation for this show and this show in general, I tend to avoid the so-called religious stuff.
well, this is religious.
Yeah,
stuff
it's
because-
fundamental.
And not only that, but Solomon okay. Now, somebody I know used to sell life insurance.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Do you know anybody like that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've heard of it over the
So
years.
this is actually King Solomon is giving you a life insurance policy. He is telling you that if you give charity, it will save you from death. that God forbid you're in a
Yeah,
situation
yeah.
where you're in danger of
Yeah,
death, right?
yeah.
Your charity will come back and speak for you.
Okay.
It's an absolute insurance policy, and King Solomon says that it's real and it exists.
Why do I have difficulty believing it?
Well, I mean, on the opposite side,
I tend to think maybe the criminals, they do an easy, risky thing, then they get their money and they.
well, not only that, we were talking about it the other day, that if you have lots of money, you
Yeah.
can get better doctors, you can get better drugs, right? You can get better things.
Yeah.
So in fact, money, it does save you from death as well. I mean, it can, it can do anything, but maybe you won't even get sick in the first place if you're regular charitable. In other words, the point is, if you're charitable, heaven is charitable back.
Okay, fine. Let's go
And
forward.
that's it,
Yeah, that doesn't do anything for me. No, point
It's
number
a
one.
promise. It's an
verse.
insurance policy. You
No,
sold
wait, hold a second.
insurance.
Verse number 1 confounds me because it's a reflection of life of a previous generation as I see it. Verse number 2 does nothing for me.
Okay, well, three is a
Okay.
continuation.
I wonder if
of that.
I wonder how much nerve it takes to keep score. I wonder. I'm not going to do it. I'm afraid to keep
Well, three
score.
keeps going because
Okay.
this is another basic one. God doesn't impose hunger upon the soul of
Right.
a righteous
Yeah.
person, but the assets of the evil guy get pushed aside. It's nothing. No matter how much money he has, in times of trouble he'll go hungry. It doesn't help him. But for a righteous person, he never goes hungry.
And is this the song from the Jewish prayer? What do you call it? Not benediction.
Yeah, it's
What's it called in English?
benediction over bread.
Benediction over bread. Okay. So does it have a tune, Dave?
Yeah.
Would you care?
It means I was old and now I am young, but I've never seen a righteous person go hungry. And now we're not talking in a war or in a all of a sudden there's this massive thing. We're talking on a daily basis normally. Now I have a friend. He lives in Bangladesh. He's a Swami, right? He's a Swami, a lovely guy. But he is supported by his community, and his whole community loves him. When they have bread, the first thing they do is bring it to him. When they bake bread, or whether the first thing they do is bring it to him.
He's the
Because
real deal.
He's a joy and he's a benefit to their community, right? So for that reason, the first person you think about is the righteous person. The bad guy, when somebody comes to me for charity and you can tell they're not a good person, I'm not running to give them charity. But when I see somebody...
He's knocking on your door.
Bad people sometimes knock on my door, right? But I'm not running to give them charity. But when I see a worthy person, a righteous person who really has fallen on his luck, I'm pretty much there on giving him charity, right? So, continue.
Yeah, you're authentically expounding upon this for me. You're authentically doing a good job.
Well, that's
Okay.
the idea, right?
My standard of wisdom may not be. I may have an unrealistic expectation from the text. I may have,
I
what I
think
mean?
that's
Yeah,
why.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think you started with an unrealistic
Yeah,
expectation. You
maybe.
just got to take it for what it is, right?
Yeah.
And these are just, little quips on how to live life in a wiser manner.
Wisdom. Okay.
That-
Okay, fine. Let's go.
Proverbs number 4. Having a deceitful hand makes the man a pauper, but having a diligent hand of honest dealings will enrich him. Just this week on the news, they discovered a false weight somewhere in Israel. Like when they were digging, some dude many years ago had, he would take this out of his pocket and he would stick it down to increase it a couple grams or whatever it was.
Oh, it did. They weighed it, and it didn't weigh to what
This
it
was
pretended to be.
This was meant to screw up the scale.
Oh,
Right?
amazing.
This was just this week,
Right.
And this man went through his life feeling that this would enrich him.
Well, hold on. Let's do I think it's time to do a visual. If you've seen a traditional or historic scale, imagine a beam that balances, and they have, let's say, 10 weights, a liter, a pound, a 5 pound, like coins or like notes, and if you put, let's say, several stalks of celery on one side, it should go down accordingly. If you put the weight of a gold, a silver piece that would equal the celery, then you fit what the price should be for that weight of the celery in the marketplace. So what Dave's saying, what the archaeologists found, something that said on it a liter, but was really 9/10 of a
The
liter.
one they stuck on, a little extra they stuck on this.
So it was
just
heavier. It was
made
heavy.
it a bit heavier.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, it says, having a deceitful hand makes a man a pauper, but having a diligent hand of honest dealings will enrich him. Now, in the deceitful hand, it's not called a hand in Hebrew.
Yeah.
Hebrew.
Yeah.
It's called a kaf remia.
Here, I'm going to show a visual. Wait, how do we do this? Okay.
Kaf is this part, right?
Yeah, the palm.
Kaf is your palm,
Yeah.
right? But when it says you have a diligent hand of honest dealings, it means your whole hand. They use the word yad. One they use kaf, one they use hand, because it's like when you're deceiving somebody, you only show them.
Oh, very good,
You only
very
show them
good.
part of your hand, right?
Very good.
You only show them part of your hand. So here Solomon is telling us this little thing.
It doesn't even come out in the English.
Right. Yes, you have to be in Hebrew.
Very good, very good. I saw that, but I didn't make to. I didn't get it as you're doing so fine a
Yes,
job for me.
Yes, it's like the slippery fingers thing. What's it called? The slippery. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, let's go on.
Number 5.
Now, the responsible son, he gathers his crops even in the late summer, but the shameful son is already asleep at harvest time in early summer. Now, if you'll notice, there's 2 sons.
Yeah.
Some dude, some farmer has 2 sons.
Yeah.
And we're comparing his 2 sons.
Right. So okay, fine.
We're not saying that the shameful son, listen, he's not, he doesn't do as well. He's out to be. No, these 2 directly compare. They both have jobs to do on the farm. And one son, he's collecting. He's like an ant. King Solomon uses that example, an ant, to show the industriousness. Now, in direct comparison, the son's asleep. He's not doing his job. He's not doing it. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to his father.
Okay.
So,
Do we go forward or
yes,
let's go forward.
Let's go forward.
This is the 2 sentences are related, I think.
Right.
5 and 6 are so far related.
Sometimes they're related. I
They
know.
call it a couplet, like a couple.
Yeah, sometimes they're related. Like, for instance, blessings will cover the head of its tzaddik. We've already learned that blessings cover the head of its tzaddik. But the harm of the evil guy will cover their mouth to block their evil speech. Now,
I believe this relates to the previous sentence directly. 5 and 6 are talking to the same 2 guys.
Yeah, it's tied in. But
Well, there's the wise one and the slob.
exactly. But just what I told you about my Swami friend in Bangladesh.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Swami show.
He is a blessing for his community. He is a blessing. Every time he talks, people listen. He's a definite benefit for his community, and he conveys that to the community. Now the bad guy, he he wants to say his evil. He's blocking the transmission of good somehow. I think that's what it means. He's blocking.
So his slothiness of being negligent in the harvest, etc., even transfers to the words he says.
Yeah, he harms others through their mouth, which curses people and shames them.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I think verse 7 is a link with 5 and 6.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Except.
We should read it first.
Yeah. Recalling the life of a holy man, Sadiq, a righteous man, is for blessing, but the name of the Rishayim will rot away.
Rishayim?
Rishayim is bad guys.
Okay.
Bad guys. And
This is almost good guys and bad guys.
well, recently they're tearing down a bunch of statues that we thought were good guys, and now they're bad guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere you look, they're tearing down statues.
I never thought of it in the classic Hebrew sense of Rishayim and Tzadikim, and I never thought of it that way.
What? That they're good people or bad people?
No, I just never went there, and it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
How can I put it? David's saying classical Jewish thought, and I never applied it to the woke mob and historical and revising history.
Yeah.
I never saw Abraham Lincoln as a tzaddik.
Yeah.
I never saw it. George Washington. Never saw it.
Well,
Okay.
this is why we put them up. Why we make monuments of them, because they're examples. They're wonderful people.
We want to inspire the generation.
Yeah.
We ought to take the Wisdom Show. Ought to take a trip down University Avenue, because that's where all the statues. That's where the best statues in Toronto are.
I told you of St. Louis.
The city?
You know the story about St. Louis.
No, the individual?
Yeah.
No, I don't know the story.
You don't know how St. Louis became a saint?
I don't know anything.
St. Louis is Louis the 14th or something. Whatever.
The French king?
French king. And he became a saint because he burned wagon loads of Talmuds.
That's in France.
St. Louis.
That's St.
No,
Louis.
I'm talking yeah.
That's in
but
France.
St. Louis in America is named after this guy who basically
That's
burned
Rashi
wagon
alive was in
loads-
those days.
What?
Rashi was alive in those days.
You see, so now.
Oh my
Sa-
God.
But now St. Louis has lost his cool now, right? And anyways, but we do know that holy men. You remember them with.
You know, it's shocking. I'm having trouble getting over what you're saying. Well, let's go. I gotta recover from what David just said. Let's go to a commercial, ladies and gentlemen. Time for a break so I can recover.
Our company is committed to providing truthful, honest, competent, and result-oriented service through advising and representing our clients in Canada and overseas in a wide range of immigration matters. We focus on providing support, building dependable relationships, and promoting success. We are dedicated to understanding what results you want and to helping you understand what actions we can take on your behalf.
We're back to the Wisdom Show. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Bruce Gilbert. I'm here with my buddy Dave Altman, who is smacking me in the head with revelations of the text, which I didn't see coming at all. Dave, please take the lead.
Okay, well, we're just continuing. I think there's 31 allegories in section 10, but I don't think we're going to get to all of them, but we'll get to as many as we can. Proverbs 10:8 has to do with the heart. The wise of heart will seize good deeds, but the foolish man of skeptical lips will be confused. Now, the weirdest thing between someone of a religious bent and somebody who's not is that oftentimes religious people value good deeds. You know what I mean? It feels good. Like you have an organ in your body that actually feels so good, and it never dies down, and it will remember this experience for years. Every time I do a good deed, you know, it really feels good inside. Not you. Not you.
Yeah.
But see, people who are not of a religious bent, they don't get that, right?
Yeah.
You know how like Mario,
They haven't developed the organ
they haven't developed
or the muscle. The muscle.
and they don't realize how pleasureful it is,
Yeah.
that muscle. And so, for instance, a religious person, you know, just like Mario, he goes, you know,
Mario, the video game.
the video game. You know, he grabs coins.
I don't know the video.
You know,
game. I know, but I don't know the
every
depth.
video game, they go and they grab coins and they
Okay.
grab this, and they're constantly grabbing these things.
Yeah.
But you know, somebody of a non-religious bent doesn't see any value of it. I'm like, why are you helping these people? Like, for what purpose?
Mario's grabbing money to give for charity to his friends.
No, but every time you know you make an accomplishment in Mario, you get
Yeah.
a coin or a reward.
Oh,
or
I see what you're saying.
Some sort of reward, you know. And people of a non-religious bent don't understand how pleasureful it is to grab them. They think, what purpose is all this? What is the purpose of it? But the wise man understands, and he actually goes and seizes them. He runs. Do you know the story? I don't know if you know this story, but I'm a Cohen, you know.
So I've
which
heard.
is a priest, which, you know, in the temple days, they were the priests. They would do the
Right.
sacrifices in the temple.
Mm-hmm.
But so there was a time where there was a service, and the person who won the race would do it. You know what I mean? So they would race
A foot race?
a foot race
You're kidding.
to do this because they both wanted the honor of doing this,
Yeah.
right? So it talks about this in the Talmud, that there was once where they were running and a guy was behind him, so he stabbed him. He stabbed the other Kohen. He stabbed the other Kohen with a knife because he so much wanted to do that
Where did you
honor.
get- where is this?
Talmud.
You're
Talmud.
kidding.
And then his father, after seeing his son stabbed, warned everybody about touching the knife because he was worried about the tomb of the knife of the
Right.
But
The impurity.
He wasn't worried about his son. He was worried about the knife.
Wow.
Because they were so centered on this. Don't worry, it tells you not to be like this. So, but anyways, that's how it was, you know.
Just slapping me in the head with everything. Well, you know, I wanted to say something else about verse 8. The Hebrew word, it's in verse 9, but at any rate, the word betach, in modern Hebrew conversation, betach means sure,
Yeah.
right? So it's used in here, betach. It means of course, it means in modern, but it means sincerity in classic, in biblical Hebrew, it means sincerity. In modern Hebrew, it means of course.
Ah.
Okay.
Now there's more on.
You know, I want to add something to verse 8. I won't give it away, but for those who know me, tell me, I feel verse 8, I relate to it personally.
Because your heart, because you have one. You have a heart. But
He's killing me! Okay, fine.
No, it says here, this is very interesting. The heart represents the part of the human personality that impels a person to action, but at the same time it resists discipline.
Okay.
I love Romeo. I love him. I don't care that he beats me. Right? I don't care. Leia. No, nothing. I don't care. You know. But anyways, without the involvement, but without the involvement of your heart, you lack emotional drive and passion. So it's an irrational thing. Now, once you get it
Yeah.
together like a horse, you have to get your heart together. Your heart has to be connected to wisdom. This way, don't follow after your heart unless it's connected to your brain. Because your heart needs to be in line with your reason, or it'll take you in a horrible spot. That's that.
Okay.
Integrity. The Proverbs 9. Be who you are.
Yeah.
It says, he who walks with integrity will go forward securely, but he who perverts his way will be found out. When I was younger, I used to go to dances.
Yeah.
And I used to be afraid to talk to women. Why was I afraid to talk to women? Because my goals were wrong. I wanted to pick them up. That was wrong. I just needed to talk to them. Once you have your you're intact. You are who you are. I don't have to be afraid of coming off. I don't need to be better than I am. I don't need to this. I'm good the way I am. You know what I mean? That's how
I'm
person
afraid
should
to agree with you on your question of, you know what I mean. Go on.
integrity.
What's the Hebrew for that's the betach? Is that the betach? Or he says sincerity in one of my comments.
Holech betoch, yelech betach. I don't know.
Yoled betach. Yoled. Cholech batum. Tam is the integrity. Yoled betach. He who maybe I've got wait. He who walks in steadfast sincerity. See, the English here doesn't do it. Steadfast sincerity is batam. In steadfast walk securely. Betach is securely, and it's of course in modern. But the tam is integrity. It's worthwhile. One of my favorite drushes. The tam in the Pesach Seder. They say he's the dummy,
Yeah, he's not. He's like the wise.
but here's
guy.
tam. So the way I understand it, tam means integrated, and it means to say like the cogs in a machine are fully oiled and functioning well. He's got his act together as the colloquial. That's the tam. He's not necessarily the wise man, not necessarily the evil man, but but you can count on him.
He's honest, and you can count on him.
You ask him to do something, he'll do it. He's dependable is maybe
I like
close
that guy.
to.
I like that guy.
Okay.
Here's a good one. Let me see you do a wink.
Wait, you want to see if we had zoom capabilities? I'd zoom in, but
could do a
here
wink.
it is.
He who winks his eye in the course of deception brings grief upon himself, and the fool who signals with his lips will become wary, trying to convince his victim that he carries no malice. Now, these are body languages that you can't
Yeah.
help it if you're a deceptive person. You go, come, no, it's good, come, I like what you're wearing.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, or wink, wink is deception, or other body languages. Like, for instance, even the way you speak, I can be revealed that I don't respect you just by my body language and by my speech.
Sure.
And so it says a fool can be found out by his body language. He winks and he does all kinds of things, and King Solomon is warning you against such things.
But not Bruce winking.
That's right.
My
I'm
commentary
sure you
says-
do it
my
good.
commentary
To your
says-
little granddaughter, you wink a little bit and she laughs.
Yes,
and
that's
she thinks
it.
It's cool, right?
Yes. I've been told I'm harmless.
Are you harmless?
I'm trying to be a rogue, but I've been told I'm harmless.
All right, let's do Proverbs 12. So there's a difference. There's two types of people. Hatred provokes strife, but love covers all offenses. It means people who are angry, filled with jealousy, pride. When your relative does something that maybe your son would do to you, in other words, if your son does it, you're cool with it. But all of a sudden, some stranger does it, and all of a sudden, he's your worst enemy in the world. Why? because you love your son, so you forgive him, right?
Oh, love covers all.
offenses.
Very
right?
good, very
So
good.
if you have animosity in your heart, jealousy, pride, selfishness, right?
Right.
You tend to judge other people. Now, that's why it says, love your neighbor as yourself, right? Because the same way that you would excuse that miserable Bruce guy, right?
Thank you.
You would excuse him the same way you have to excuse a stranger or you have to excuse a friend and not hold your animosities. That's what Solomon's trying to teach us there.
He means Bruce or someone else.
I know.
Okay, let's go forward.
Proverbs 13. On the lips of the discerning thinker will be found wisdom. A guy who can think properly and clearly, can judge himself. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He can learn. But somebody without this ability, you have to beat him up.
You should read the English.
It says, but
you should read the
on the
English.
lips of the discerning thinker will be found wisdom. In other words,
Yeah.
he's good. He can find his own wisdom. But a disciplining rod must be experienced by the body of a person with a deficient heart.
This is beat your children.
Don't touch the cheese. Don't touch the cheese. Right?
He touched the cheese. He learned not to touch the cheese.
As a matter of fact, my son Jeremy is a vegetarian.
Is Jeremy going to sue me now?
No, he's a vegetarian. But we happen to have mice in the house.
Is that a fact?
We happen to have mice, yeah. So we ordered a bunch of traps,
Yeah.
and Jeremy set them.
Yeah.
And then, Sabbath was coming in, and, we closed the thing so we couldn't see it, and then we heard,
Oh, the trap.
like within a half an hour, there was 12 dead mice.
Oh my God.
And my poor vegetarian was like, he could not believe the efficiency of it. And he had tried the live trap. We have a live.
Yeah, the glue.
No, that is unbelievably disgusting.
What happened?
Oh my God! They take it, they glue to it. They can't get their legs out, and then they throw it in water and they drown it. It's very, very not good.
See, the Wisdom Show isn't just esoteric knowledge. This is valuable
Don't
stuff.
touch the cheese.
Wait. Now, let's go to a commercial from our new sponsor, Raid or whoever, Mouse Traps. Whoever. Let's take it away to a commercial so I can calm down from this harrowing story.
Our company is committed to providing truthful, honest, competent, and result-oriented service through advising and representing our clients in Canada and overseas in a wide range of immigration matters. We focus on providing support, building dependable relationships, and promoting success. We are dedicated to understanding what results you want and to helping you understand what actions we can take on your behalf.
I've calmed down from that harrowing story. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to another topic fast. Dave, take it away, please.
Proverbs 14. Wise men store up knowledge, but the mouth of the fool brings ruin near. And the only thing I have to say about all this is anti-vaxxers. Wise men store up knowledge. They collect things. They give you well-seasoned knowledge. They hold it to themselves and they give it out only when it's refined, right? Other people pick up information. No matter what information, they throw it out, and they're basically a fool, and they cause ruination wherever they go. And in our day and age, there are so many people who believe that they know something and know nothing. You know what I mean? And it's endless, right? I'm like,
I'm purposely trying to be apolitical on the show.
Right.
And I don't have the guts. Well, I do. I did with the ice cream. I went nuts on the ice cream. But so let me say what I think you're saying so I can get clear. The anti-vaxxers are cherry-picking data?
I'm saying whatever you believe today, you can find a website that will support your view. If you want
to support Martian
if you're
invasion,
a racist, you can find a racist website.
Right.
If you love robots, you can find some that whatever you were looking for. And is this where's Walter Cronkite with the real information?
Wait, face the camera.
Yeah.
I want to bring it home to the show. Wisdom, discernment, judging, so you can ascertain which knowledge is the relevant, applicable, and you can cherry pick in a healthy. You can develop your muscle to be a stronger discerner of which knowledge. Just as you're saying, it's all out there. You have to discern which is the better one.
Yes, and that ability is very, very important. The ability in Pirkei Avot, actually.
Yeah, we learned with Gerald last week.
The ability that I just wrote a book.
Yeah.
I wrote a history book, and basically
love that damn microphone.
basically it requires an ability to take lots of information and pull out information that's relevant and good. It's called it's called a sieve.
Sieve.
A person has to know. They take a
Flour.
a bunch of stuff, and they have to sieve it till
Sieve.
it till
I don't know that you said sieve so many times.
whatever. So that there is finally there's stuff in there that you can use. Because there's so much information out today, and the ability really to do that and know truth is much harder today than it ever was.
I started, Bruce, the example of wisdom, I started saying a few years ago, and it really built it into my personal style. I started saying I don't know more often.
You should.
And now I see it's a response to all the knowledge out there.
Exactly.
And it's not the knowledge, it's the information. I don't know if it's true or not. So I say I don't know. Okay, this is serious wisdom. Okay.
All right, well, we're only halfway through, so we're not going to finish, but let's talk about wealth. King Solomon was one of the richest men in the world, 10:15.
Yeah.
And the wealth of a rich man is his citadel of strength, and the ruin of the destitute is their poverty.
Okay.
So a rich man feels quite comfortable with his citadel of cash. It protects him, it's all around him, it gives him his ego, it gives him his strength. Well, the poor people, you feel sorry for them. They're sitting there in ruin, basically, because of their poverty, right? But since since the feeling of happiness from wealth or the feeling of ruin from poverty is only in your head, right? Is only in your head. In Judaism, who is rich? The man who loves what he has.
Yeah.
The man who's excited with what he has. The Bedouin on the beach, who sits there in splendor in the Sinai. He lives in the most unbelievable environment, and he doesn't have a dime. He makes his money. He sells hashish to the tourists, but he's brilliantly happy, and he has 14 children at home who love him, and he doesn't even know where his next meal comes from. But it always comes. It always comes, and he gets and you see what he fishes. The beautiful fish, the exotic fish. Nobody has fish like this. When I was in Israel a couple of years ago when Trump was there.
Yeah.
And I was on my way to a hotel in the north, And at the same time, Trump was on the way to the Jerusalem hotel, and he had 40 helicopters, and he paid for the whole hotel.
Uh-huh.
He paid for the whole hotel. Apparently, it cost him $40 million or $25 million to have that day in the hotel. But I went to the north, and I was the only one in the hotel. And the lifeguard was my lifeguard.
Yeah.
The whole hotel was my hotel, and I even had a discount. It was $80. It was $80 a night for the hotel room. Who is rich, me or Trump?
Oh, nice, nice.
Who is rich, me or Trump? I was sitting there, and that's the whole question. A rich man, he loses his money, and all of a sudden he's a poor, miserable slug. You know, my dad could lose money anytime he wanted and make it back. You know, I can just tell you, it's a part of his personality. You know, my dad could never be poor, and he never liked stuff that, you know, he was never into the fancy stuff like that. But he really could make money, you know. Anyways, who is rich?
I must say that verse didn't make sense to me, and you've expounded upon it well, but I didn't get anything from the verse.
From the book, right?
Nothing from the verse. I got it from the Book of Altman. Okay, fine.
Well, I'm supposed to be a benefit here. Like, what do you got me here?
We got 6 minutes. Let's bring this home, baby.
Okay, well let's do, and these are, look, and we've gone through half of 10
Yeah.
that you found you
That I cried over.
I mean, really imagine if you internalize all of these just Proverbs 10 alone. You could be quite the person just by internalizing just this. Now here's the most basic of all, Proverbs 17. He who holds on to moral discipline is on the path to life, but who forsakes reproof goes astray.
Yeah. This is Reb Noach's 48 ways to wisdom of
Not
loving
only-
reproof.
And it's not only
reproof.
Jewish, it's everybody is the same.
Yeah.
This is the trick to life. And many years ago, I read a book called Psychocybernetics. Psychocybernetics, and it was written by a plastic surgeon who, in other words, if there was a woman and she came to him suffering because she had a big nose and she had no confidence, once he gave her the perfect nose, he sent her out, she was just as unconfident. She was just as unconfident. Why? Because your brain works, it has a trajectory. It's like a missile guidance system. Right? I go along my way, and if I veer to the left, right? I veer to the left, something has to come and tell me, nope, you're going to the left, straighten out.
It
right?
course corrects.
But if I'm arrogant, I say, no, I'm right. And I continue going on the negative trajectory, I continue. Only by loving rebuke and appreciating it can you keep yourself on track. And that's why this is such an important, Proverbs 17 is.
I know people who can't take criticism.
And they will not find their way because they cannot correct and improve themselves.
You want to know something better? At least in the English, it's in the negative. He who forsakes reproof goes astray. It's reproving in the sentence. It could say, he who loves reproof does well. But it's in the negative. It's reproving you in the sentence. You follow that?
Yeah.
Bruce is good for one thing each show.
Yeah.
Break out the booze, baby. Okay, we got
a couple more.
Okay, we got a couple bit. We're out of here. We're out of here in 3 or 4 minutes.
One who covers up hatred has lips of falsehood, but the one who speaks out the words of his resentment is a fool.
Speaks out the word. I'm. Ah! Boom, boom, boom.
Your mother.
Oh man.
No, if you insult somebody,
Yeah.
how they react.
They're hurt.
I know.
They either sulk or they fight back.
I know.
Yeah.
But this causes war.
Okay, fair
This
enough.
causes war. What he's trying to tell you here is that there's two levels here. Number one, if I don't react, let's say you insult me, right? You say, Altman, you suck, right? And basically, I'm holding resentment, but I don't show you. I refuse to show you, but I hold deep resentment. That's also horrible. That's also horrible because deep inside,
Yeah.
I need to tell you the truth,
Yeah.
right? But I've held it back, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, but at the same time, a person has to learn not to be a fool and not to react. You know, reacting causes war, and you have to learn not to react. So that's another one of Solomon's things.
Okay, let's do one more. Then we'll do closing remarks, as if I have closing remarks.
Ha. All right.
Yeah, but choose your best. Give it your best shot, baby.
Well. They're all good. The tongue of a holy man.
What verse?
20.
Yeah.
The tongue of a holy man is like choice silver, but the heart of an evil man is fleeting. What does that mean? How does one refine silver? One refines silver by constantly heating it in a crucible. You know, they heat it, and what it does, the more you heat it, the less impurities it has.
They bake out.
By the time you finish, there's different levels of silver, but by the time I've mixed and heated some silver, I make it the choice of silver. It's absolutely 100% pure.
The longer the boil, the greater the quality of the product.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now,
How does that relate to us?
well, a smart man doesn't speak unless he knows that the words have been tested. He knows that his words they've worked in the past. They're provided. It's choice wisdom. But the person who's not as discerning, he just speaks. It comes off his chest. It comes out of his mouth. Right? You can't rely on him. There we go.
I didn't understand that verse. I swear I didn't understand.
No, because
I get the example. I get the example of the boiling.
So he's
I don't get the-
refined his words.
So let's
like
say
choice
let's say we all have 2,000 words we regularly use. Let's say, for example, but if you work on making your 2,000 a better quality,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, like when you hear words that are deeply inspiring, it's because he's thought of his words. He's there's been a lot of mental ability in his words. It just doesn't come out of
In his
chest.
word repertoire.
Yeah, it just doesn't come out. It's meant to. It's refined.
Ah, it's not really the silver. It's the refining is
It's
the
the
key.
refining. He knows it's coming up pure.
What's the Hebrew? Yechaldo pesha. Lo yachdol pesha. I don't know. Kesef nivacher. Kesef nivacher. Loshen tzadikim. Nivacher. Bechar. I don't know. Okay. David, you have been a choice, refined guest, to say the least. So here's what I want to tell the Wisdom Show fans. Subscribe and share. Those are the words. Those are the key words that I want to show. Now I got another. Oh, I probably don't have it. David, have you learned great wisdom have you taught us great wisdom on the show?
Not only that, I've learned great wisdom. I told you, I on my bookshelf, I do not have Proverbs. There's no commentary on Proverbs. I've never looked into it. I have not this, but with this show, it's 2 shows already that I've done, and I've been happily surprised at Solomon's wisdom.
If that isn't an endorsement, then I don't know what is. So look, hit the subscribe button or else. Share the wisdom of David Altman with your friends. Let's make your friends wiser, your family, your boss, the world, your block. Let's make them all wiser. And if that isn't a sign off, then I don't know what is. Subscribe and share. Thank you, David Altman. Hasta la vista, babies. See you next week.